the causes of violence and how to avoid it.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello everybody, marhaba. I want to ask from the sleepers to wake up, to overcome the sectarian violence all over the world. Afraid to touch anything. My topic is about the effect of cognitive and ethical factors on the sectarian violence in Egypt, socio-cultural study of the causes of violence and how to avoid it. This is a picture from January Revolution where Quran and the cross engaged to success this revolution. By abstract, it is well known that the Islam, as the religion of the majority of Egyptians, offers practical solutions to the sectarianism, defined the relationship between Muslims and non-Muslims in a civilized manner. And this means that there is a moral and spiritual sources to solve the problem of sectarianism. Why then? Why then the sectarian strife appears? We assume that there are cognitive and ethical factors affecting the sectarian strife. This research tries to explore these factors. Research depends on the structuration theory by Anthony Giddens as a means for explaining the research results, but after making some modifications, allow common sense system to play a main role in the structuration process side by side with agency and social system. The research depends on the narrative interview as the main tool for data collection from an intended sample according to different variations. Keywords: sectarian violence, Egyptian cults. Cults means Christians. Cults is the old name of Christians in Egypt. Egyptian Muslims, common sense, agency, social system. The research questions: what are the prevalent traditional or customary perceptions of the other religions in Egyptian society? Number two, what are the prevalent interpretations of religious texts that define the relationship between Muslims and non-Muslims? Indicator of measuring the cognitive and the ethical dimension of sectarian violence in Egypt. The topic which were discussed during the free narrative interviews didn't, of course, cover all the issues. The topics represent and we concentrated on some topics like Christian as a president of Egypt, Christian as a minister, Christians in the military service, the sample interpretation of Quranic texts about jizya, tribute, fight those who don't believe in Allah until they give the jizya, tribute, willingly while they are humble. قاتلوا الذين لا يؤمنون بالله ولا باليوم الآخر ولا يحرمون ما حرم الله ورسوله ولا يدينون دين الحق من الذين أوتوا الكتاب حتى يعطوا الجزية عن يد وهم صاغرون. Samples interpretation of Quranic texts about marriage between Muslims and Christians. اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلى آخر الآية. Indicators of measuring either social relations between Muslims and Christians in work, in study, in neighborhood. The samples points of view about reasons of sectarian violence in Egypt and what is the solution to this crisis. Research sample, an intended sample was chosen among 50 volunteers of different ages, ecological variables, cultural variables, political variables, and so on. The result of the fieldwork. Number one, the Christian as a president of Egypt. All the volunteers in this research from both rural and urban areas of all ages refused to accept a Coptic Egyptian, Christian Egyptian as a president. This was true even among respondents who belongs to secular parties. This result indicates that of the secular parties in Egypt is also points to the influence of the religious component of the Egyptian common sense in shaping perceptions about the main topics. Number two, the Christian as a minister. We have three directions on this subject. Number A, the majority of the respondents, especially uneducated individuals in rural and urban areas, agree that Christians have the right to hold ministerial positions. But, number B, we have a limited number of educated individuals who think that Coptic Christians have the right to hold ministers like defense, have no right to hold ministers like defense, foreign relation, or the prime minister. Number three, however, a limited number of educated individuals also objected to the view that the Copts have the right to hold any ministerial position. Christians in the military service. The research sample response to this subject shows that all respondents maintained that the Copts youth are part of this nation and so they should not be excluded from military service. This indicates that the historical component of common sense affected the formation of ideas and beliefs of Egyptians toward each other more than the religious or political component. I believe that this consensus springs from two reasons. The first is that the history of the modern Egyptian military confirms that the Copts have always fought heroically in the wars undertaken by Egypt in the modern era. Number four, interpretation about the Quranic text about jizya or tribute. We have four perceptions on the interpretation of the Quranic text about jizya. Number one, uneducated Egyptians in rural and urban areas exclude the Copts from those who the text concerns. They defend the view that the Prophet Muhammad recommended that Muslims in their behavior been violence and justice toward the Copts. Number two, however, some uneducated Egyptians simply don't know the meaning of the verse. Number C, the majority of educated Egyptians believe that the tribute was imposed on the people of the book, Christians or Jews, in the first era of Islam, whereas now there is a law that protects the rights of all citizens in Egypt. Number D, nevertheless, some educated Egyptians belonging to religious parties believe that when Wali al-Amr, the president, allows Qabids to do military service, the tribute will be dropped. Interpretation of the Quranic text about marrying Christian women. Our results show, in addition to some amazing participation, that the majority rejects the principle of marrying non-Muslims, while only one respondent accepts such a marriage if the proposed was to try to convince the wife to Islam. Number 6, social relations between Muslims and the Qabids. In general, all respondents who have had experience dealing with the Qabids have a positive perception about them. However, the results show that there are some extremists who work in state institutions, such as administrators and managers, who harbor sectarian tendencies toward Qabids, especially in the field of education. 6. Social relations between Muslims and the Qabids. The results showed that some Egyptians place the relationship with Qabids within strict limits in order to limit interaction with them. They think they should not exchange felicitations during Christian holidays, because doing so gives legitimacy to those holidays. Number 7, and the last one, sectarian violence in Egypt, reasons and solution. The results showed that the majority of respondents feel that there is a sectarian crisis in Egypt and it will increase in the future, but they differ in their opinions as to the causes of this problem and its solution. Number 1, some believe that the problem goes back to the Qabids themselves, and they isolated themselves and are afraid of sharing their lives with the rest of the Egyptians. Therefore, Qabids must be encouraged to participate positively. Number 2, some believe that the problem is due to the political system which exploits the Qabids issues. Number C, some believe that violence against Qabids is located in the provinces of south and in the Egyptian countryside. Okay, we have 2 minutes. Okay. Concluding discussion. We can go to end these 2 minutes. Number 1, the results of our research manifest that both rational and irrational ideas toward Qabids dominate common sense. The two types are correlated. The correlation may be due to the exaggeration of the religious identity of the self in the face of the identity of the other. This is despite the fact that the Prophet Muhammad instructions clearly and repeatedly were to protect in particular the Egyptian cult. Number 2, with an eye towards modern Egyptian history, we can see that the social position of the Qabids jumped as a result of their national stand in the beginning of the last century, from a position of dependency to one of the participation, particularly in the revolution of 1909. My research showed that the experience of communicating with the couples determines the cognitive status, for it become manifest that those Egyptians who had relationship with couples during their education, work, or in their neighborhood usually possess a self-understanding contradicting that which is dominant in the common sense. We can say that likewise, the political system must begin and enrich the educational curricula that, so that it includes the necessary cognitive, behavioral, and emotional compound for renewing relations between couples and the Muslim. This is the way to fight the spread of extremist ideas within common sense. Thank you very much.